Good evening. You may notice that this week there is still a dynamic duo, but there's a different dynamic duo in town. Hello, Mark. I haven't seen you for ages.
I know. How are things, Sam?
All
Apologies that I've
good.
not been in the last few weeks. Life's been a little bit mad the last couple of weeks. Yeah,
Life's
good to
been
be back.
loving, haven't it?
And what a time to be alive, eh?
Do you know what? We're living the dream as Welsh rugby fans. Although it says Rodri underneath my name, you will know I'm not Rodri, I'm Sam. But Rhod can't be with us tonight. But Rhod's our like tech Zoom person, so I've logged in as Rhod. So not Rodri, but Sam. So last week, me and Rhod on the pod, um, we were looking forward to Dragons. We were looking forward to seeing the team that was going to be announced, and we were looking forward to this week to talk about the 9 Ospreys that were selected in the Welsh squad. Um, we've got group chat messages with loads of people. We speak to the other guys who do the pods. We speak to other people who are in the know, and we often get fed information a little bit early, which, rightly so, we don't share because it's shared with us in confidence. But we had rumours last Thursday that announcement was coming on Friday. The rumour that we had about the announcement that was coming was actually very, very, very different.
Yeah,
Small
strange.
grain of truth in it, really, but very different to what was announced on Friday.
Hmm.
We were told that it was remaining as 4, but it was going to be a 2+2. So the grain of truth in that was that there are 4 remaining until the 3 entities are created or until our URC contract runs out. We never comment on these rumours. We never post about them. We never do anything else because my feeling is, unless you know for absolute certainty,
Hmm.
don't repeat it.
No,
Because
I mean, if we'd listened to every single rumor that we heard over the last fortnight, I think we were given probably every single eventuality as being
honestly,
fact at some point in the last 3 weeks, to the point where there was no point listening to anybody by the end.
no, I literally said so far today I've heard 4 things,
Hmm.
and I was just like, I'm not prepared to hear anything else about it. So we will get on to that in a little bit. But last Thursday, we were in quite a cheerful little mood, myself and young Rodri. And then Friday happened. But before we get on to Friday, we'll do a quick run around of the URC. We'll talk about our game against Dragons. Um, and then we'll get into it. So we'll try and make this as light-hearted as possible, but we know that this
It's not
is
going
a
to be
bit
easy,
of
is it?
a kick in the door. It's really hard to be positive at the minute.
I think it's a good
But
job we've had a little bit of time to calm down, because I think Friday was kind of anger day, Saturday was depression day, Sunday was a mixture of everything day, and I think we've had a little bit of time to reflect maybe now, so we're on a little bit
I
more of an even
have
keel
to be
maybe than we
honest,
were.
um, I'm a bit of a voice noter. We've got like a group chat with James and Squidge and Yesin and whatever. And I was working Friday, and I laughingly and jokingly said Friday morning, oh, I better get contacted by the BBC later. That did happen. But then I just literally happened to go on Twitter on my lunch and the news story dropped. Honestly, Mama Aranka would do more than wash my mouth out with soap if she heard the voice notes that I sent you, lads, wouldn't she?
I mean, I have to congratulate you how you managed to switch from the voice notes to your telly personality, where
Within
you kept very
minutes.
calm and clean and everything else, because the contrast between the two was pretty vast, wasn't it?
It
Between
was, wasn't it? It was. But we'll get on to that in a minute. But Saturday, team got
oh,
announced on Friday. We were like, yay, Jack's on the bench, yay, Boship's on the bench. Looked like Ryan Smith was starting. Um, there were various injuries just beforehand. So there was a bit of a wiggle round of the bench. I understand Ryan Smith had a back spasm on Friday. That's why he couldn't come on. And then Rhod texted me the changes because I was in the ground just beforehand. Like to give a really big shout out. I really enjoyed myself in Dragon's hospitality on Saturday. The food was outstanding, the service was impeccable. And most importantly, if any of you are on the URC banter page on Facebook, I got to meet Ryan, the Dragons fan, as Dragons brought him and his family down from the northeast and put him up in a hospitality box. And it was so lovely to meet Ryan and his family. I had a lovely picture taken with him. So absolute pleasure. Ryan is the maddest madhead of Dragons fans, like ever. And it was so lush to see him in
Oh, that's
hospitality.
lovely.
So Ryan and your family, absolute pleasure to meet you all, guys. That was probably the highlight of my day.
I was going to say you had a lovely time pre-match, and then the rugby started.
Pre-match and then ate like a king. But I had an element of I was nervous going to Rodney Parade.
Yeah.
Because
so, yeah.
let's face it, it is a banana skin for us.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be that way again, ending in a draw, which I'm sure if you were neutral was absolutely pulsating for you, and it kept you going right to the end. As a fan for either team, no, it was quite stressful.
Didn't satisfy anybody. I mean, we were in complete control of that game until we weren't.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we weren't, then the wheels came off completely and we lost discipline and we lost pattern and form and everything else. And we were lucky, well, not lucky, but we were fortunate maybe by the end that we didn't
We were lucky
concede at the end.
Yeah, we were lucky Tennis to be missed those.
But how we ended up in that position is another matter, really. How we went from a comfortable, commanding position where we should have been able to see out the game to that. We shouldn't have been in that position at all, really. But
absolutely lovely tries in the first half from Deeves and Kokonasanya. Really well produced tries. Harry Deeves was again an absolute beast. I don't know whether you heard on the telly the chanting about Harry Deeves' magic.
Yeah.
He wears a yellow hat. I was behind those, so I was fully getting involved in that. There was also a lot of Daniel Casende that went on, and I'd like to think that we as a pod, are responsible.
Played a small part in that, and I think,
Yeah.
But I mean, how many more plaudits can Deeves get? I mean, he's a complete talisman for us at the minute, isn't he? I mean, it showed the week before we didn't play against Glasgow how much we missed him. And he was probably again star man on Saturday. Just the work rate and just what he does week in and week out, really. And we're so lucky to have him as well as Jack in that squad to play in that back row to complement each other. We couldn't be in a stronger position, but outstanding again, and a shame to see him and the wrong end of a result at the end of that performance again.
Yeah, and I'm gutted for him with the announcement that Talupe Faletau has been released from the Welsh squad today, and Cracknell's been brought in. And this is no disrespect to Cracknell, he's been having a stormer for Leicester, but I do feel kind of sorry for Deevesy. Whether it's been done because he feels he's got more of a hole at 8 with Talupe leaving, I don't know.
Yeah, especially with only
kind of hurt if I was
happy. And especially with Jack being the only out and out 7 in that squad. When Faletau dropped out, I thought it was an opportunity to drop a 7 in, because I mean Jack's not going to play every minute of every 4 matches over the autumn. He's probably not going to start all 4. You wouldn't expect him to anyway. But it was an opportunity maybe to drop Deeves or Reffel or whoever it might be in to give a bit of cover at 7. But I think what they've probably gone is for a bit of bulk in the pack and put Cracknell in for that reason instead. But Deeves can feel hard done by. I think he couldn't have done much more, and all he can do is keep playing the way he's playing, isn't it? And,
absolutely, keep being an absolute pest. Obviously his try was lovely, within that first 15 minutes, really untidy knockdown. He just had a massive 30-meter break and he was just gone. Again, possibly rude that Dan missed the conversion, but it is quite a hostile place to play, I should imagine, because everybody's quite on you.
Yeah, you can see Dan was having quite a lot of banter with the fans. I think after every kick that he had from over towards the touchlines,
Yeah,
he was turning and having a little bit of chat with them afterwards, whether he'd scored or otherwise. So there's obviously
yeah,
quite a bit going on
yeah.
background
Um,
there with him as well.
quickly followed up by another try with Nagy. No, Max looked good
He had
on
a good game, to be fair.
Saturday. He had a
Yeah,
good game. He spotted, which I think we should have put more pressure on, because it seems to be happening quite a lot. I think Wainwright does a lot of their ball carrying for them, and their back three, there's often a lot of gaps there. We
yeah.
could have capitalized that on that more, and he obviously saw that, and he was good. He was gone, set it
He was
up,
decent.
and
How
then
good was Wainwright, by the way, on Saturday?
he was really good
Absolutely
Saturday,
outstanding, wasn't he? Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. Um, I think, and this is again, I don't want to have a kicking off Dragons fans after the one I had on Friday or the weekend. I do think he deserved the man of the match. He is a star.
Yeah.
He did a lot of their carrying. They didn't really look dangerous until he had the ball. Once he had the ball, you just kind of thought, something's coming.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, that's not me being disrespectful to any of the other players, but he is a talisman for them.
Yeah, and that's the frustration, I think, that the Dragons didn't look dangerous at all.
No.
Until we allowed them to be, until we lost our discipline in the last 20 minutes, and then just lost our way completely from there, really. And the Dragons had nothing to offer really until then, and then we just let them. We gave them a glimpse of light to get back into the game, and they took it, to be fair, with both hands.
They did, and absolutely, they showed that they had the mental strength to pull that draw away. Wainwright's footwork was outstanding from what we could see. Really
good.
Was. Jack, when he came on, massive 3 turnovers in the 20-25 minutes that he was on for.
Yeah.
He's just class. He really is. But those last sort of 5 minutes from about 78 minutes on, it all got a little bit frantic. It all got a little bit messy.
It was hair and scaring, wasn't it? It could have gone either way. Both teams wanted to win it, and they in those last 5 and were throwing caution to the wind.
Yeah, lots of comments about Moriarty and the penalty, but I think that everyone was just throwing the kitchen sink at it. So you could argue that we could have been better with our penalties again.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It happened. It was a draw. It's better than a loss.
Yeah,
we come to an end of block 1. We're not at the bottom of the table by any means.
I think it's got to go down as a bit of a disappointing block, doesn't it? Overall, I think we came back from South Africa with that 1 point, which was probably about what we expected. It would have been nice to come back with 2 or maybe more, but 1 was sort of a reasonable success, and especially, and I think performance in those 2 games in the first South African block were good as well. And I think since being back home, I think the last 3 games then at home and back in Wales have been disappointing. There's every game there were flashes of good play there. We couldn't get the bonus point that we probably needed at the end.
Yeah.
Glasgow was a bit of a disaster. I mean, I didn't get a chance to talk about that with you guys last week, but we got outmuscled, outplayed, outclassed by Glasgow. And then, Dragons, who literally haven't beaten anybody since they beat us 12 months ago, we sort of scraped the draw against them. So I think really looking at the overall block, we would have been hoping to be at least a couple of points further on than we are now.
Yeah.
So
we wouldn't hope for 1, 2 out of 5. Let's be realistic, innit? Let's look at it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
But no hate from me. It's obviously really difficult with everything that's gone on in this first block, and you can't doubt anybody's heart and commitment.
100%.
You just need to shut stuff down in the second half. Keep those penalties to a minimum and just work on being the full 80 minutes.
And Marc will be incredibly frustrated with that, won't he? With the fact that we weren't able to close out, the fact that we couldn't get the bonus point, and just the general performance against Glasgow. He won't be happy with any of that. But there's lots to work on for the next block. And like we said pre-season, he is building a style, a culture within the club as well. that's taken a while to settle, and and
Massive
the
attack in
injuries haven't
rugby.
helped with that either. We've had last week and this week last minute changes, which put things, you sort of train to a structure for the week, and then literally minutes before kickoff, you got changes to make, and that sort of throws things off kilter a little bit as
Yeah,
well. Not to make excuses, but we've been
we've
dealt a
lost
few tough
people right
hands as well.
before. We've
Yeah,
lost people right before we've gone
exactly.
on.
I think the
So
worrying thing for the bigger picture, and it plays into the WRU narrative so well, is that 14th Ospreys, 15th Dragons, 16th Scarlets, Cardiff 4th. It just plays beautifully into their narrative of Cardiff, the super club, being competitive. The other three also runs down the bottom of the table.
yeah,
And it's a shame with where we are now with the announcement and everything else that's where those three teams end up at the end of this first block. It just feeds that story for them.
it feeds the narrative, doesn't it? And
It
that's not the
does. Yeah.
narrative that any of us want, really. But we briefly touched on the URC roundup. Cardiff, snuck that win over Edinburgh
Mm.
um, on Saturday. Scarlets lost out in South Africa. We were a draw. It is just the three Welsh teams at the bottom propping it up
Yeah.
at the minute. But we pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves off, we head
Mm.
into the next block with our next game against Edinburgh at the end of November. And then we go into a run of games and our first
Yeah.
European game. But we look ahead to block 2 again. But I think we now have to turn our attention to the shit show that is Welsh rugby. Welcome to the shit
Yeah.
show.
Sadly so. And I think it's, to say at this point as well, the reason we haven't got a full URC roundup this weekend is that I was so sick to the stomach with
I
rugby
couldn't.
news on Friday. I literally watched our game and I couldn't watch a single minute of rugby. Apart from that, I've
I
watched NFL this weekend. I've watched
Yeah,
Ashes
I
Rugby
couldn't do
League. I've
it.
watched football, but I could not
I
bring
couldn't
myself
do
to
it.
watch rugby. The URC
Couldn't
was
do
just
it.
going on
I'm
in the
just
background and I just couldn't watch it. It was just too sickening to watch, really, which
just
is
absolutely,
silly, I know, but yeah.
absolutely awful. So we said earlier on that you know, we were laughing and joking Friday morning. Once again, Wales Online broke the embargo and pulled the trigger at 12:30 for something that was not supposed to be announced or discussed until after 2 p.m.
I think what didn't help the situation as well was Simon Thomas had tweeted, didn't he, on
It
Thursday
looked
night,
like
and
4.
then there are 4. So
Yeah,
we all kind of relaxed, I think, on Friday, thinking, oh, okay, there we are. Then at least
yeah.
there's a future, whether it's 2+2, whatever it might be, we're going to exist. And I think everybody relaxed into that a bit. So then when Wales Online then broke that news of 3,
Yeah.
I think it was kind of jaws on
It
the
was like,
floor,
what?
kind of, where's that suddenly come from now?
Yeah, and it genuinely was. And I was kind of laughing and joking. As I said earlier, oh, BBC Wales will get on to me. And they literally rang me Friday morning and said, look, can we ring you after 2 o'clock? We can't discuss anything with you until then, but we'd like to speak to you after 2 o'clock. And can you come on drive time? Yeah, not a problem. Fine. Was on lunch grabbing myself a cuppa because we all know I love a cuppa. Um, and I saw what the Wales Online had dropped, and I was like, okay, this has gone an hour and a half earlier than it should have been.
Yeah.
Literally within minutes, I was had a phone call from the lunchtime phone in with Oliver on Radio Wales saying, can you do an initial reaction? And I think I did actually use the words, I'm tamping, fuming, raging, and I did use those.
Yeah.
I'd like to say I'm really sorry to any Dragons fans that I offended, because I did get a fair bit of a kick in on Twitter on Friday. I got cut off midway.
You did.
I did. I don't think they liked it when I mentioned Cardiff.
They really didn't, did they? No, that was the
No,
moment where they kind of said,
no, it
okay,
was like,
thank you,
right,
Sam.
okay. But
Yeah.
if I'd have been allowed to have finished, what I was saying, you've got the Dragons who like prop up the bottom of the table. You've got Cardiff who are into administration. You've got the Scarlets who owe thousands, well, say thousands, millions to the council, with regards to,
Yeah.
their to Parker Scarlet. Again, unsteadiness with what's going on with House of Luxury. And you've got us then who always get pointed out with attendances and
Yeah.
the fact that we don't have our own stadium. So if I'd have been allowed to have finished, then that is where my train of thought was going with that. We've all got reasons we should stay. Likewise, we've all got reasons we should fold. So, lots of stuff, people asking me, am I gonna, delete my tweet and blah blah blah. I don't delete tweets, guys. That's
No.
not my modus operandi. I never deleted a tweet. I will never delete a tweet. If I've said it, I've said it. It will stay there, either as a badge of honor or a badge of shame. I don't
Yeah.
delete anything. I say what I say and I stand by it, or I'll apologize for it.
And
So,
everybody's entitled to an opinion. I mean, God, there's been so much stuff the last few weeks where people speak from the heart, and rightly so, because everybody is terrified about losing their team. And people have made comments which may be upsetting to other teams over the last few weeks or whatever, but it's coming from a place of fear and a place of worry that that your club, whichever one it might be, may not exist in 2 years time. So everybody's in the same boat at the end of the day.
Cardiff were the first that came out with a statement, and I thought it was really tone deaf, the statement that
completely. Yeah, congratulate themselves on how safe they were when, according to our friend Collier Keywood, we'll come on to him in a minute, the Capital Club could be anybody. Who knows?
It's the NFL franchise thing.
Exactly.
I thought it was really interesting that when it was announced, we'll have East, West and Cardiff. So I think that obviously gave Cardiff the G, and I think that's why I said then, I think the statement given by Cardiff was tone deaf. Again, loads of people take that back, do this, do that. No, I thought it was tone deaf. The other regions have made statements as well, but I didn't think it was as tone deaf as the Cardiff one.
No, and that's been backed up by many people online the last few days who said it was not what was needed at that time. We needed some kind of solidarity or something to show that the clubs are all together in this.
We're all in this together, guys.
And instead, they congratulated themselves on how safe they were.
I just thought it was really tone deaf. And we
all know that is factually true, and that's been the case throughout this whole process. The Cardiff are going to be safe.
And I'd love to say I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That was my feeling. I thought it was tone deaf, simple as.
Yeah.
So we get to the press conference with Reddin, Richard Collier Keywood, and it was kind of, I'm reading off my screen because obviously there's a lot of stuff that was said. They weren't particularly forthcoming. They were a little bit touchy when they were being asked questions, but they've said, look, we've spoken to the fans, we've looked at the feedback that we've had, and we don't feel there's any benefit in our optimal solution of going down to 2, but we feel that there's going to be this optimal solution of 3. It's going to be East, West and Cardiff, which they've now manoeuvred into Central. And it was very much where we're not going to look at heritage. There's a huge benefit in heritage, and I thought it was a bit of a pop at the Scarlets, which I did think was quite funny, but I didn't think it was called for, which was saying, Dave Reddin was dismissive of history and said, well, actually,
extremely so,
we beat the All Blacks 40 years ago, which is fine. That's what it needs to be. We've all got heritage, we've all got history. It's not a pissing contest. We've all existed for the same length of time.
But again, it sort of was a bit of a tone deaf statement to make at that moment in time, wasn't it? Where everybody's got something to fight for, and Collier Keywood was at that point sort of faffing about, didn't really know what to say, and then Reddin just jumps in cold as anything and just said, basically, no, don't give a shit about what's happened in the past. It's all about now.
And they kind of said they're in this contract with the URC until 2027, 2028. They would hope that the teams can come to a consensus amongst themselves as to who merges, who folds, who does, who whatever. If not, then it will go out to tender. When it goes to tender, then they will be entirely new entities. A bit like the franchise NFL system, if anybody knows anything about that, which doesn't work, in my opinion.
Thing is, that timescale part of it doesn't make any sense, because on one hand they were saying we're stuck till 27, 28 because of the contract with the URC, but on the other hand they were saying, but we'd like it to be sorted by the start of next season. So does that mean the URC have got a New England whoever
Yeah,
they are lined up to join the URC already as a kind of a plan B if the union can get this sorted quicker. I think there's so much in what's unsaid in this as much as what's being said.
what's been said, yeah. And I think you can read a lot between the lines with it being a thinly veiled sort of like sort it out amongst yourselves, or we'll sort it for you when we go to tender. And I hate the whole word of tender and franchise and entities,
Yeah,
because, you know, as the stupidity of them shows, oh, well, Scarlets or Ospreys or Dragons or Cardiff, they could all bid for all of the franchises. So you could have Scarlets bidding for Newport, you could have Ospreys bidding for Newport. Why are they going to do that?
I think it's the problem for us is the only thing that makes any sense in that is these constant rumours regarding Y11 and Cardiff, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
only bit, and that again points the finger back at us again because
It's
Scarlets are
mentioned
not
in
going to
Wales
bid to be
Online.
the East region, just like Cardiff are not going to bid to be the West region. So the only thing you can take from that is the finger comes back on us and on Y11 and those constant rumours around, but we keep on
Yeah.
getting reassurances around their
And
commitment to us.
I think,
So,
I Y11 stance pretty much is we don't respond to rumours. Pretty
yeah.
much like the royal families, don't complain, don't explain, just get
Hmm.
on with your job. So I understand that from a certain amount, but then when you've got the likes of WRU saying, it would seem that, the rumours are that, you know, um, that Y11 by Cardiff and there's a kind of a merger or anything else, then I think it's unfair to put Y11 in that position. Um,
Yeah, they've
you
not been
know,
very subtle, have they, in suggesting that there's an owner of one of the current clubs who want to buy Cardiff, and everybody's immediately jumped to this Y11. Who
yeah,
knows? It might be House of Luxury. We've got no
it
idea of
could.
at the end of the day,
We
but
don't
yeah,
know. You don't know. And I think there's a lot of like conjecture and there's a lot of rumour, and that is the problem. And like my feeling is, unless you know for certain, keep your mouth shut,
hmm.
because we've got to think of the players. The players got family, they've got kids, there's backroom staff, there's coaches, there's people involved in this
Yeah,
that you're not considering when you're running your mouth and saying, oh, I've spoken to so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so's down the pub.
hmm.
Unless you know for 100% certain, keep your mouth shut. I'm not interested.
Yeah,
And if you do know for certain, don't say. You shouldn't be sharing that information unless it's public information,
bulletproof
because
information. Yeah,
yeah, it's going to go from A to B to C and everybody's going to add something on or take something off.
yeah,
When it gets to Z, it's going to resemble absolutely nothing when it came from point A.
yeah.
So,
That's probably a good point to mention that the timing of the announcement from the union as a whole as well,
awful.
what we've had officially. The day after the squad was announced, going into the autumn. But
Scarlett's down in South
Scarlett's down
Africa,
in South Africa, Welsh Derby coming the next day.
and you'd
Um,
expect
you know,
them all to go into camp on Monday morning.
exactly,
Okay.
and not to be talking all about this all the time because that's going to be at the forefront of everybody's minds now. In the meantime, you've got the players and the staff, as you say, left at the regions, just left to speculate and not know any more about what's going
This
on
is
for the
people's
next however many
livelihood.
weeks. Yeah.
This is mortgages. This is livelihoods. This is players touting their trade. I spoke to somebody. I was in hospitality on Saturday, and there were directors in there, and there was everything else. I point blank said to somebody working at the Ospreys, I do not blame any of the Ospreys players if they are touting their trade
Hmm.
to anywhere else or they're looking to go anywhere else, because this is a shit show. I'll
Yeah.
never blame any players for leaving if they choose to do that. I
Yeah.
won't.
And it
I will bid
explains
you
the rumours that
farewell.
were around last week in terms of Jack, in terms of Dewi. You kind of get why those rumours are
I
out there, and
understand.
there may be some truth to them because, like you said,
I
why would
I
you want to stay at the
understand.
minute? When we as fans
I'd
are
be
even thinking
devastated.
if Plan A from the union goes through, then we as fans are going to walk away. Then why on earth would the players want to stand and be part of
I
it?
just think, yeah, it is awful. Um, but to try and lighten things up, I'm not on a retainer to the BBC. I'm not. Pinky promise I'm not on a retainer to the BBC. You may think that I am because I was on across 4 different BBC channels with Rhod on Friday. So I did the lunchtime phone-in. I did a TV interview with BBC TV News. They then took my interview and used part of that on the BBC Online News Sports channel. And then me and Rhod were on Newsbeat on Radio 1. Now, I'm not the demographic age for Radio 1, so I was quite impressed.
That was superb. I have to say, that's hitting new heights. I think Newsbeat, isn't it?
I asked the Radio 1 guy, can I have a signed picture of Rylan or a mug or something? He said he'd get back to me. But do you know what, Mark? He said he'd listened to our podcast and he thought it was quite professional.
Well, there we are.
Yeah.
Thing is that we don't have
the
dance music banging in the background like on Newsbeat. That's the problem. Because that must be the only news program that's got pumping dance music going in the background the whole time. Maybe that's what we need.
Perhaps that's what we need. We're done with the kids.
Absolutely.
But I put some feelers out because loads of people have reached out to me, Pod, over the last couple of weeks. And especially over the last couple of days, and loads of people, it was really, really nice. Quite a few people came up to me on Saturday and shook my hand and said, we saw you on the news, thank you.
Well, I was going to say that. I mean, you and Rhod, these last few days, as ambassadors for the Ospreys from a fan perspective, you've been absolutely amazing. So, I want to put that on record from me, and I'm sure as all Ospreys fans as well, just, the sort of refreshingness of your honesty, but also how you've spoken so eloquently about the club and the club's future and things. So, thank you from all Ospreys fans for that, because you really have been a star.
It's been really nice that people have said thank you, because although it was like, 20, 30 seconds, I actually spoke to the lady for about 5-6 minutes. And, really grateful to be able to have the platform to air my views, and all I ever want to do is reflect the club, reflect the players, reflect us as fans of the region. And I'm not always going to get it right, but I'd like to think that I sometimes get it right, and I'm passionate and I'm measured. And I think, when I was speaking to people online who were giving me a bit of a drub in on the weekend, if you look back at anything that I ever say, I'm usually quite calm, I'm usually quite measured, I'm usually quite logical. Friday was seismic. It was like an atomic bomb had gone off in my world. And I did tweet and say, that in years gone past, this is going to be our JFK moment. And I said, I know that seems quite dramatic, but it is going to be a case of where were you the day Welsh Rugby died? Because if you're creating 3 new entities, you're effectively nuking everything. You're burning it to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, we've sat through, we've lived through multiple WRU shit shows over the years, but this does feel different, doesn't it? It feels like, I mean, the change to regional rugby was massive, and we've got fans of lots and lots of clubs at that point, but that felt necessary because we weren't able to compete with 10, professional teams or whatever it was at that point. This is huge though, because this is alienating potentially a massive, element of Welsh rugby support across the country. We're literally going to have supporters in Llanelli, Cardiff, Newport, and the rest of the country have got nowhere to go unless they buy into one of these new entities. And from what I'm hearing, clubs across, fans across all 4 clubs are not willing to do that. Unless we're left with some semblance of the teams that we've got now, nobody's willing to buy into these new entities, whoever you are.
I think one of the comments that I put feelers out on socials today, and one of the comments was from a gentleman called Keith Merlin on Facebook, and it kind of sums it up. And he said, it's absurd to have 2 teams out of the 3 only 17 miles apart, located in the southeast corner of South Wales. Geographically, these 2 teams cover at most 25% of Welsh land mass, leaving 75%, including where I live, totally disenfranchised. And this is the bit that got me. It was like, it's too far physically and emotionally for this 80 years young guy to start again.
Oh, goodness me.
I've supported my beloved Ospreys, and I'm reading direct quote now, I'm not adding anything to this. I've supported my beloved Ospreys from day one, and it feels like the Welsh Rugby Union board have tacked us up, especially as 90% of them are from Dragons and Cardiff. As arguments can be made for all regions to fold or merge, then the decision needs to be based on meritocracy, with the bottom regions being axed. 80's years young.
Wow.
That's somebody who's seen the heydays of the 70s. They've lived through the
Yeah.
pain of the 80s and the 90s and saw a rekindling of Welsh rugby.
Yeah, that's a lot of support to lose in it.
That's someone who supported Welsh rugby for probably since a 10-year-old for 70 years.
Yeah.
And he's prepared to walk away.
Yeah, and I think, everybody from, well, I think the most they can hope with these new entities is that they can bring in new fans with families, with kids that are going to grow into those regions or whatever they might be for the future. But in the meantime, we're going to be left with empty stadiums, with fans going across the border or doing whatever they want to do. I was Googling rugby league teams on the weekend because rugby league's far closer to me than Union. So I was looking at, Warrington being my closest team. That's where we've all got to. I think, you've talked openly about Bristol in the past, and, none of us want to go there. But I think our minds are already heading that direction, that if this does come to pass, that's where we're heading, isn't it? And we will walk away. And it's not just us; it's Scarlets fans, it's Newport fans.
It's fans across the board. It's not just it doesn't feel like I'm known to be quite dramatic, but what I'm feeling and what I'm saying is being reflected in like other fans of other regions. I'll share, without the swear words, one of my voice notes that I sent the guys on Friday.
Will there be anything left to say?
I was like, the Welsh Rugby Union are a bunch of nipple-sucking swamp donkey C words. How do they expect us to get into bed with those over there and merge with them when they're nothing but backstabbing B words? There was various F words.
I was going to say that's very much the censored version. Yeah.
And I said, do they really expect us to sit around the campfire, hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and F word, plat, ble, C word? I used it as a verb. Murray's hair. No, that's the polite version.
Yeah, very, very polite.
If you ever want to insult someone, please feel free to use nipple sucking swamp donkey.
That's a good one, that, yeah.
It amuses me. I love that. But lots of strong feelings coming out. Sound bites for Anne Taylor sums it up from Facebook. I hate the Welsh Rugby Union with a passion.
Yeah, and I think there's so many people. I mean, we've got the autumn games coming up. It shows in the ticket sales for the autumn how apathetic the Welsh rugby public is at the minute. And I don't even know whether I want to watch the games. I mean, I will, to support the lads that are playing. But I'm going to be watching it with a different lens than what I would have done 2 months ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Obviously, friends of the pod, Sian and Geraint, feel so sick and annoyed. That's me done with Welsh rugby. Again, people my age were just like so disenfranchised and walking away.
Yeah.
But, other strong statements. Colleen Jenkins on Facebook, biggest stitch up since the last cap. I think she's referring to the Warriors.
Warriors, yeah.
How can a bankrupt region have precedence over the others? This wouldn't happen in any other rugby country or in other sports.
No.
Why Cardiff, East and West? Be transparent and truthful and name the region to be cut. Agreed, mate. I just think, for me...
They haven't got a plan, have they? That's the thing. They expect us and the Scarlets to merge, or us and Cardiff to merge. But if that doesn't happen, then we go to some kind of long-winded tender process, which will be very cloak and dagger, like the consultation process was, which we haven't been given clear results of what the outcome of that was. They've said, oh yeah, the public want change. Give us figures on that. Talk about, what did people actually want?
What do we want change about? What do
we want change for? Yeah, and they asked all the wrong questions. It's like the Glad Rugby survey that ran alongside that asked all the pertinent questions to get the right answers. for people to actually have their say on what they do want. The union only gave a consultation on what we don't want, and then they won't give us the results of it either. So they haven't got a plan. They don't know how they're going to do this. They know what they want to happen, but they don't know how that's going to happen. And I don't know how we can be in a position where in 12 months' time we may lose a team, or 2 years' time we're going to lose a team, but we still don't know how that process is going to happen and who it's going to be. And in the meantime, we've got dead men walking, whether it's us, whether it's Scarlets.
Who's going to re-sign at the end of the season? It's not just us who've got players who are out of contract at the end of the season.
No.
It's other teams as well. Who's going to sign on with that uncertainty?
Yeah.
And, then it came out that, we're going to have 2 training camps, probably East and West, because you've got players, go to whatever training camp it is.
Yeah.
But then your coaches are going to be centrally contracted. They're going to decide where the coaches go. They're going to decide what your training regime is. They're going to be able to move players around like chess pieces. The players don't want that. The teams don't want that.
Yeah.
You're so fucking naive if you think people follow a player. I love Jack Morgan. I love him. Am I going to support Saris if he goes to Saris? No. I'll probably watch games because I want to keep up and see what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to all of a sudden, be thinking, I'm off to StoneX or I'm going to buy a Sarri shirt.
Yeah.
I love Nicky Smith. I'm not all of a sudden a Leicester fan.
Yeah. Thing is, Dragons, the Dragons have come out and said that they don't agree with the union running the team aspect of things and choosing the coaches and the teams and who plays where. So even in the supposed sort of agreement that seems to be in place with East, there's still uncertainty and unhappiness there as well. So the only team that seem to be sitting happy with everything that's going on is the team the union actually own. Surprise, surprise.
And it's like, I'm not being funny. You're expecting these owners and investors to come in and just be responsible for food and beverage.
Why would anybody want to buy into Welsh Rugby at the minute? Let's be honest. I mean, if you sat with a few million in your pocket that you want to invest in something, why the hell would you invest in Welsh Rugby on any basis at the minute is beyond me, to be honest.
People who invest in Welsh Rugby historically invest because they love rugby. Y11, the directors for Dragons, before that you had like Cuddy, you were Peter Jones. They're plugging money in because they love the sport. It's nothing to do with the fact that they can sell a pie or they can do whatever.
Yeah. And if Cardiff end up with their version of
frigging McDonald's franchise.
Yeah. And if Cardiff end up with their version of Wrexham with their Hollywood owners, one sniff of trouble, they're going to walk away, aren't they? They're not going to be committed to things going wrong and things going tits up as they inevitably do in Welsh Rugby every few years.
Yeah.
At that point, if they've got no skin in the game, if they've got no historical link to that team or any reason to be, fully invested, not just financially, but emotionally with that as well, they're just going to walk away. And I don't know. None of it makes any sense.
It's just frustrating. We've got Matthew Wright. Obviously, Matthew Wright heard me on the radio on lunchtime on Friday because he said, tamping, fuming, raging, and a smiley face.
That's our next t-shirt, isn't it?
Honestly, I was so annoyed on Friday, and that clip and that statement with me on Radio Wales was initial gut reaction, annoyance. As I say, I'm normally quite measured. I'm normally quite calm. If I'm going to have a little implode, then I'll do that to myself or amongst those who I know won't get offended by the swear words. But he said questions need to be asked of the Welsh Rugby Union about why they saved Cardiff when they knew they wanted to reduce teams.
Yeah.
This is the reason that the PRA, which was agreed in principle, was not signed, i.e. Cardiff. Did the Welsh Rugby Union want it not to be signed by the likes of Ospreys and Scarlets? If they knew that bailing out Cardiff was the perfect way for them to weasel out of the PRA and to reduce a team. Do you know what? So many people have come up to that conclusion. And, a lot of people have said it does seem as though And again, please, Dragons fans, this is not me saying this. You know, it feels, people have said, oh, well, it actually feels the two that signed the PRA, i.e. Cardiff and Dragons, they're the ones now will be in, you know.
There's no trust in the processes. Then we went
None.
from Abby Teeny saying 12 months ago that they were committed to 4, to all of a sudden wanting 2, to now having 3. The funding model, I mean, reading some figures online, what they're looking to fund these 3 teams at was 6.5 mil, which is below what the Scottish teams are on now and reportedly below what Benetton are on now. So in 2 years' time, their funding will have increased further again. So we're still going to be funding these 3 teams, which is meant to be the main rationale behind it is money that we can't afford to run the 4.
Yeah.
We're still funding them at potentially 2, maybe even 3 million less than our direct competitors. So how that's going to entice players to come and play for those teams when they can't offer big contracts, when they can't offer the money to bring them in. I don't know how we're better off by cutting to 3 than we are before.
Well, we're not. You know, and I think it was said by Annette as well, you know, those crowing that they are safe need to be careful. This is just the start, and the Welsh Rugby Union will get the 2 that they crave in eventually. I do think be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. I think Reddin is very single-minded, isn't he? He's shown clearly in the statements that he makes and in the way he talks. He doesn't have any history with Welsh rugby to care about the sort of the Calon side of it. It's all to do with business for him and the quality of the play on the pitch.
What you don't realise is in Wales, if you don't have this, you don't have this. Because we're not fucking Jesus. We don't forgive and we don't forget. No. Us Welsh can hold a grudge, let me tell you.
Yeah.
You know, there's still people out there, i.e. me, will never vote Tory as long as they've got a hole in my ass because you can't drink milk and the miners strike.
Yeah.
And I was 5 when that shit happened.
Yeah.
So we hold a grudge. Mark Carter also said, doesn't trust the Welsh Rugby Union to run Welsh Rugby. They have continually failed at that, i.e. running rugby over the last 15 years. Roof walk failed, zipline failed. Do they realise that they are driving people away from the sport? I normally look forward to the international period, but now I can't be bothered to watch. I'll find something else to do.
Yeah.
Sad.
And it matches what so many people are thinking and saying at the minute. That's the kind of messaging we're hearing all the time, and people are voting with their feet. I mean, the All Blacks game. God, when I was a kid, to get a ticket for Wales All Blacks was like all of your Christmases rolled into one. I only ever managed to get one once.
It was literally, who did you know?
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And now you could buy a dozen tickets.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been offered free tickets for some of the autumn matches already this year.
And they can still
they're basically giving them away. So
yeah. We've got Lisa Powell, love speaking with Lisa on socials, another super passionate fan. Welsh Rugby Union have no sense and no logical reason to get rid of the most successful region. I feel for the boys, coaches and staff. Lance and the board need to fight the Welsh Rugby on this in any and every way possible. They've also said, can we have more updates from the Ospreys and Y11? Loads of people asking for that, but I do think, Y11 is play their cards close to the chest. So I think we've just got to take on face value of what was said at the supporters evening, that they're fully invested, that they're fully in, and we just have to take that on face value. Not easy, exactly, I know, but not easy.
And I think a lot of the headlines here are going to players like Jack and Dewi, and let's face it, they've got to feature whatever happens, and they're going to get big contracts somewhere because of the quality of players that they are. I think it's important. We know there are Ospreys players that listen, staff that listen. We all feel for you 100%. Massively at the moment. There are players who won't know what their future holds. Who aren't at the same stature as your Jack Morgans and your Dewi Lakes or whatever. And then they don't want to know. They don't know what their future holds. And then you come down to staff members and everybody else as well. And it's such an uncertain time for everybody, not just in the Ospreys, but across all 4 regions. And just to say unequivocally, I was supported with those people all the time. I know it sounds dramatic, but we are behind everybody within the club, whatever role they play within that.
100%.
From the superstars down to the tea
The
lady.
boot boys.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. And I think Alan Jones sums it up and he said, I'm not being racist or xenophobic, but this is what happens when those in charge have no idea of Welsh culture. Remember Moffat, they have no understanding of the Welsh passion. And it's something that I've said, and again, I will say it until I'm blue in the face. You can literally go anywhere in the world. Culturally, Welsh people are something else. Like
yeah,
that tribalism. You know as well as I do, you can be one valley over from someone and hate them.
yeah.
Look at the rivalries that we've got in like Swansea, Bonamine, Dunford, hate each other,
Mm.
absolutely hate each other. So this is what you're working with, and it's easy to say, oh, we need to put that aside. You can't. This is it's deeper
No,
than that. I can't explain it to you. I don't think there are words that I can use to explain that. Just I don't know. I've got no words. If anybody's got more better words than I have,
yeah.
let me
There's only
know.
two. There's only two countries in the world, aren't there, like us when it comes to rugby? There's us, and then there's New Zealand. And I think
Absolutely,
unless you're from one of those two
you
countries, you
don't
would
get
never
it.
quite understand that level of depth of feeling around it. So I'm gonna have to laugh at Moffat. You said about Moffat. I mean, normally he's in the middle of anything dodgy. Even he's had a sniff of
He's
this and gone, do you know what? I don't want anything to do with this. For Moffat to walk away from a pile of shit is saying something, to be honest. So I think that's
yeah.
quite telling.
And I just got a couple more statements really. There's far more that I could go into, but we'd be here for ages. So if I've missed anybody out, I'm really, really sorry. A lot of you have said things on the same vein. Um, Ricky Halford, um, I really hope things get sorted the right way, which means keeping Wales's more successful region. I don't have the same connection as most of you, but I have met some great fans along the way, including at the Dragons at the weekend. Some of my best rugby weekends away have been with the Ospreys, and I hope that will continue for many years to come. And then we've got Gareth to say, we really need to push a vote of no confidence in the Welsh Rugby Union. This will kill West Wales rugby as players will leave because of the uncertainty, and we'll just be left with limited feed of young players. Agreed. I
Mm.
just think it's hard. It's really, really difficult.
But I think what's coming from this is everybody feels the same. I think with potentially the Cardiff fans possibly sitting prettier than the rest of us. I think if you support any of the other three regions,
Yeah.
even the Dragons, I think the general consensus amongst the other three is none of us want this. As much as the Scarlets and us are not best of friends, we're all completely agreed that we don't want this one West region, whatever it might be. And yes, we will fight our own corner on this to the death, probably. But ultimately, what are we without the Scarlets? What are they without us?
Nothing.
Where's that rivalry going to go next? There is no rivalry that can be like that for
No.
either of those two teams again.
We right now all need to be inside the tent, pissing out, not some of us outside the tent pissing in, thinking
Mm.
we're all cock of the north and we're all safe. We are all in this together. We need to be vocal. We need to show our support. We need to be like, okay, this may not be my region, but you know what? I'm a regional rugby fan, and if this was happening to me or my region, we need to do something about it.
Mm.
It was great that the Dragons still went on with their march on Saturday. Myself
Yeah.
and the my lads were there. We marched with regards to that. We had signs saying "Rack the WRU." We all need now to make ourselves heard as the biggest stakeholders in this, as the fans. It feels like we're being largely ignored.
Yeah.
We've got to be loud now. We've got to be vocal. We've got to push the agenda. Put aside the petty squabbles, the petty rivalries, you know, leave that to the pitch. Off the pitch now, we all need to be together on this. We pick ourselves up, we dust ourselves off, we get battle ready. We show the Welsh Rugby Union what they're dealing with, who they're dealing with, and how important this is, because we can't afford to get this wrong.
No.
We can't. We literally can't. This has to be right. Not for me, not for you, not for the people our age, but for the kids who don't know anything other than these regions.
Yeah.
We don't need to lose 2 regions of rugby fans. We need to
No.
keep them engaged. We need to bring the people through. So get on your socials, keep pushing the agenda, keep tagging the Welsh Rugby Union, keep tagging, your MPs. Make the Welsh Rugby Union accountable. Without us and without us giving the money, they've got nothing at all.
Yeah.
And even if you're not like a regional rugby fan, or you don't go to games week in, week out, but you go to internationals, leave your daffodil hat at home. Go to your local pub and watch. Don't give the Welsh Rugby Union your money, because you're keeping them. You're keeping them in business at the minute. Don't go. As much as you want to go and see the Welsh rugby team play, don't go. Fuck them. Don't go. If I hadn't paid for Dublin next March, I wouldn't be going. If I'm going in my Ospreys gear. I won't put any of my Welsh gear on. I'd be there as an Ospreys fan, supporting my Ospreys players who are playing. Make yourselves heard. Do it. Show up. But show up to the right places, your regions, your local clubs. And that doesn't mean that we're not supporting the lads who are playing in the red shirt, who are playing for Wales. We are behind you 100% of the way. Lots of talk as well about people saying, should the players go on strike? I love a strike. I would love it. But I don't know whether you're playing into the Welsh Rugby Union's hands with that.
Yeah.
I haven't got a lot of time for the French, right? I haven't, because various reasons. God, that's a nation who knows how to strike.
Yeah. Professionals, 100%.
They are
They really are.
banging. Yeah. If I could take anything from the French, strike.
Yeah.
They're good at revolutions and they're good at strikes.
Yeah. But we may not be far off that, at the moment, we are at the beginning of this game that the Union are playing, aren't we? We're going to go down the line where this is only going to get worse and it's going to get messier. And the players are going to have to fight their corner, and they're going to have to come out and show their hand a little bit as well. At the moment, it's fresh, isn't it? It's all new. People don't know what to say, how to react, what the future holds. It's going to get murky. It's going to get messy. And at some point,
the players
will have to get fighting with us as well. And, hopefully that'll be the case. Some will jump ship. And as you said, you can't blame them for doing that.
Yeah.
But for the rest that are left behind.
And you know what? If they do decide to strike, don't frigging moan. Get behind them. It's their livelihood. It's their job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for a bit of trade union, business. I just think, it's why we got weekends. It's why we've got working time directives. It's why we've got healthcare. Nothing good ever came through the easy path. It didn't, and it's important. Make yourselves heard. Socials, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Hold the Welsh Rugby Union accountable. Rhod is going to be designing a banner of some kind, because, and I'm going to get it made, nice big one. Because right in front of me where the stand is, we've got a wall, and I think it's just ripe for a sign of some kind. Just keep reminding them that we're you, and we're the people who support this, and we're the people who are going to invest in this, and we're the ones that you need to keep happy. And I'm not saying that in a threatening, weird way, but we're important. Listen to us. It really, really, really is. I'm thoroughly frigging depressed now.
I know. We were trying to keep it light, but I don't think we quite managed that, do we? And to be fair, the subject matter was never going to be light, was it, tonight? It's hard to talk about the future of your team in a light manner. So so apologies if we have got a bit dark and a bit serious.
Apologies if we've depressed you. I'm really, really sorry. But the fact that I am you and I am podcasting is fantastic, because I'm getting the train to Manchester at 7:30 in the morning to go on 2 days worth of training. And it's now 8:25 in the evening. My suitcase is still in the attic. I got nothing ready. I do know what clothes I'm taking. And they are kind of hung about, but I'm not even packed. But just so you know, finish work at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Get in the train up, get to Stockport around about 12:30ish. Going to work from the Stockport office tomorrow afternoon, but then I've decided that I'm going into Manchester because it's only like a 5-10 minute train ride away from Stockport, because Pop Mart in Manchester is open till 8 o'clock.
Oh.
So I'm going to go and buy myself some blind boxes like a 5-year-old to cheer myself.
Why not?
Totally going to do it. Totally going to do it. So that's my next couple of days. So I'm quite looking forward to that tomorrow. I'm not great on the train. I'm not a great traveller. However, have got a new Ospreys laptop bag that I bought in the shop, which is really nice. So I'm gonna hang my new black and white skull panda off there in homage to the Ospreys. I am a bit of a sad one. I'm probably going to work on the train though and attach myself to Wi-Fi. But because I'm a bit extra and I've got to think about the type of keyboard I can use, I'm going to take my own keyboard that lights up.
Yeah. What's the train Wi-Fi like these days? I haven't been on Wi-Fi in a train for years.
I think it's not
Is it
too
all right?
bad.
Yeah.
As long as I can like keep up with my emails and my bits and bobs, then I'm like absolutely fine. But I can't do laptop keyboards, so I'm taking my super duper. Let's see if I can get it working. My super duper mechanical light up keyboard. Can you see?
Wow.
Like,
Oh, I'm jealous now.
hang on, let me turn the big light off. Love a big light. Hang on.
Do you know who you remind me of now, Sam?
What?
Jean-Michel Jarre.
Oh yeah. But look, it's stunning. I've got a thing about keyboards. I'm a really heavy typer. I can touch time because I'm old. And I have found that. Sorry, you see my Harry Potter chair now as well. I found that the best keyboards are the light up gaming mechanical keyboards, because I'm such a heavy typer. I like a keyboard to clack, but I've also got a light up mouse that matches that as well. So I'm going to be on the train like a frigging vamp there. So if in doubt this week, just think of me on a train with my light up keyboard,
Entertaining like everybody. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we should end on a rando. Now,
solo rando is just dangerous. I've not been in this position before.
Solo rando.
Okay.
I was telling Rhod about celebrity traitors last week. Asked who we think in the squad would be a celebrity traitor or a rugby traitor. Someone messaged me and said, Nines are known to be sneaky, Lukey Dye without a doubt. So yeah, I think Lukey Dye and Harry D's are best friends, so they could be traitors. So
that's a good shout.
Just a bit of an update from me. But it's Halloween on Friday. And I feel really, 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 really old now, because I'm going into work on Friday and we've got like Halloween decorations out, pumpkins, so we can pumpkin carve. And when I was in last week, I was saying to one of the youngsters, didn't have pumpkins when I was younger. She's like, what did you have? And I said, Swedes. She went, what? I said, Swede. Literally had a Swede. And you dug the Swede out with a knife. And you remember triangles for eyes? And
yeah.
And then you put holes in the side. Put the lid back on, so the top of the Swede back on. You put a candle in.
Yeah, I remember. God, how hard was an inside of a Swede to carve as well?
Horrific. And you burn the top of the Swede and it would smell.
Yeah.
So my random to you is there anything quite as bad smelling as burning Swede inside your Swede lantern?
I would counter that with milk in the back of your car.
Oh yeah.
Now, I tipped milk in the car once and didn't clean it up immediately. And it literally took probably 6 months to clear the smell from it, to the point I used to give this woman a lift to work, and she would rather drive every day to work rather
Then
than
get in
car
your
share,
car.
rather than get in my car. So I had 6 months of free lifts to work just because my car absolutely stank to high heaven of milk. So I think milk, yeah, stale milk is probably the worst smell I've ever smelt, I think.
Happy days, yeah. Yeah, I could go there with that. Um, and we were quite flammable as kids when we go in Halloween trick or treating, because you'd have a plastic bin bag as your outfit that if you were lucky, you'd have blue or red electrical tape on there doing
Yeah,
stars. Can you remember that?
absolutely. It was bloody Blue Peter gone mad, wasn't
I
it? Yeah.
know, you'd have your witchy fingers on.
Yeah.
If you were really lucky, you'd have like a plastic hat with fake hair coming down and your plastic witchy fingers. Or if you couldn't afford that, you'd have a plastic hat with the hair.
Or bed sheets with the eyes cut out.
Oh my God, yes. So considering that and you're wandering round with your Swede lantern, how you didn't get on fire, I don't
I
know.
know. Acting we're waiting to happen, wouldn't it? Yeah, if you consider Zach going out trick or treating, it's probably the last thing they'll do when he's 12. But he's literally been planning it for months. And he's had to have this special hoodie for this manga character that he likes that we had shipped over from Japan, which took about 3 months to arrive. He's got sort of a wig, a pink wig and face paint and this, that, and the other. He's been months planning it. And he's
It's
going to look
insane.
amazing. But literally, yeah, bed sheet, eyes cut out. And I was
Yeah, it's
happy with
whatever
that.
your parents could scrabble for you.
Yeah. And that was only if you were do new bed sheets as well.
Yeah. And I was saying to someone, oh, the Halloween song. And they were like, what are you on about? And I'm like, Halloween's coming, Halloween. And they're like, just looking at me. I'm like, shit, this is another holiday that's been, Americanized now with your
we're,
pumpkins and everything else.
we're just getting on, Sam. I think we're just getting old, aren't we? I think what we enjoyed at that age, which seemed perfectly normal, and you look
Very
back at it now
dangerous
and you
now.
just think, God, how did we get away with that?
Very dangerous. Like firework displays. I can remember when you could go down the shop and buy fireworks like a 10 and you'd be like throwing catherine wheels down the road. And then you'd be like, make sure that you put your sparkler in a bucket of sand or
Oh God,
whatever.
yeah.
No, mate, no, it's not happening. Um, so very different times. We were very flammable back then, but
Absolutely.
um, I kind of miss those days.
Everything was simpler, wasn't it, back then? I know we're reminiscing about a
Oh, far
time where
simpler.
things were probably a bit shit, but to us, they seemed amazing at
It
the
was a
time
golden
because,
age, wasn't it? And nobody had like social media, nobody had
yeah,
camera phones. You could fuck up to your heart's delight, and nobody would have any
yeah.
kind of record of it anywhere to bring back to you at a later date. I'm so glad technology didn't exist when I was like in my clubbing
Oh
era.
God, yeah.
Because some of the outfits were out there, like out there. Um, and some of the things that I did were incredibly stupid. Like,
But there's no record of any of it, so that's fine.
absolutely not. I stole a bar stool once from, oh my God, what was the cocktail bar by the Hambury?
Oh God, I can't remember the name of it now. I know where you are though. Yeah. God, the
And they had all
Hanbury,
the
blast
analog
from the
prints
past.
and everything in there.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I walked up Mount Pleasant Hill with bar stool.
We stole a dartboard from a pub once. There was like six of us, and we sort of literally
Yeah,
got in a line, pulled the dartboard off the wall, and then just sort of
off you
shuffled
went.
out with the
Like,
dartboard. We cut a tree down from a roundabout for Christmas.
I was an absolute nightmare as a student. I've got to be honest. I was an
Yeah.
absolute shit. Um, that was probably one of the most normal things that I did as a student was steal a bar stool. Um, I got the White Rose on Walters Road. That was a student pub.
Yeah.
I got banned from in there because they turned it into the Aussie surf bar called Reef, didn't they?
Right.
And we were point blank told as students, don't try and surf on the surfboards. They put surfboards
Yeah.
as tables in. Lasted two
So what are
minutes.
you gonna do? Yeah, exactly.
I was on there surfing, like, do you know what I mean? I got banned for 3 weeks. I was devastated. I was just an absolute shit. An absolute shit. Like, how I just, yeah, how I got
Simpler times, aren't it?
the
Simpler
memory.
times you got away with.
Yeah, absolutely. And my
Even
best
in
friend,
teaching, I was talking to a colleague the other day. We were reminiscing. When I first started teaching, we stayed after school one night. Two of the staff had gone home, and their classrooms next door to each other. We swapped all of the furniture from out of their classrooms into the other one next door. So when they walked in the next day, they walked into their classrooms and went, "What's going on here?"
what's gone on?
Literally every single piece of furniture, every child's chair, every cupboard, every light, we swapped the whole lot because we just had time
Mad
to
though,
do.
isn't it, what you do?
And now I'd
Like,
be up in front of a disciplinary commission if I
oh,
if
can
I'd
you
done that as a
imagine?
teacher in the last 10
My
years. But
my best friend Ian is short, so I we always can't say nothing. I'm 5'2", right? But that's kind of more acceptable for a girl than it is for a man for some reason. Um, oh God, the student house that they lived in had a corner bath, right, with a step up to step in. And to take the piss, I bought him garden gnomes because he's short. But I bought two, like, sort of like 3, 4 foot garden gnomes in Poundland. I called them Gnome and Gnigel. And I put them either end of the bath, and then I filled the bath with all different gnomes and inflatables. Absolute shit. I made him dress up as an elf at Christmas when we had Christmas parties. I've even threatened to dress him up as a leprechaun when we go to Dublin, so I'm not getting any better as I'm getting
no,
older. But I hope that has provided you with some light relief to
there we
end.
go. We managed to turn it
Don't want to
round, didn't
be,
we?
we don't want to be super, super serious, do we?
That's not us,
Um,
is it?
no, so not too sure of the recording plans next week because obviously we're going into international season, so we may give ourselves a bit of a break because let's face it, this last week's been a bit heavy emotionally. It really,
Yeah,
really has. So we let you know, loving the fact that so many new people have interacted with us on the social. So big shout out to you all. We'll keep doing this as long as you want us to keep doing it, in whatever guise. Um, and we'll just keep on keeping on. Rod's gonna put our banner up with all our socials. Please comment, like, subscribe. We're up to 159 subscribers now on YouTube.
amazing.
I'm a viral TikTok sensation for my clip on the news because it's up over 16,000 views now on TikTok.
Incredible. Wow.
So I think I can call myself an Instagrammer now, an
I think you can.
influencer. What do you reckon?
100%. Yeah.
Can I
The
bang in?
polar opposite of me, who can't even put a single post up,
Like a
apart from
48,
just a photo. That's all I can manage.
48 feral and a rugby influencer. Come on. Um, but have a lovely week. Whatever you do, wherever you go, then have a lovely time. Try and keep it light, but come on, vive la revolution, guys. Let's get involved. And we'll let you know when we're recording next. But if anybody's got anything to send to us in the meantime, then please send it to us. We'll be more than happy to engage and respond. Rod's not here, so I'm gonna steal his ending. Line a gwael.
Keep the faith, everybody.
Okay, George Michael. Bye.